Celtic's reactive transfer strategy has been brutally exposed by a journalist, and what he's revealed is damning. We've got a major update on Nikico Seiger's transfer situation that might surprise you. Goalkeeper Stefan Ortega is in talks with multiple clubs as he eyes a Celtic move, and Peter Grant has dropped a bombshell about what Wilfried Nancy allegedly said before his exit. Plus, the fans' collective just narrowly avoided calling for a boycott, but fan anger has hit breaking point. It's a massive evening of news. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Celtic's January window so far has delivered only Julian Araujo, and even that signing has been met with a collective shrug from supporters. What we haven't seen is the long-promised priority recruit, a striker to replace Kyogo Furuhashi. That was talked about a year ago, in January, in summer, and again this winter, yet it still hasn't happened. Now, journalist Michael Gannon has pulled back the curtain on what he believes is a deeply flawed recruitment model at Celtic, one that hasn't been proactive, strategic, or rooted in scouting. Gannon told Hotline Live, "The boy at Bournemouth is not a player that's been on Celtic's long-term scouting list. It's a boy that's been made available for a loan deal to Celtic." So, whether it's Sean Maloney, or Paul Tisdale, or the secretary at Lennoxtown picking up the phone, these are deals that are offered to Celtic, and they're offered to take them. And likewise, the boy from Israel as well is a player who's getting touted along around a lot of clubs in Europe who are of a summer level, which will be Celtic. I guarantee you, Rangers have been offered them as well. Your Antwerps, your Brugges, your Legia Warsaws, all the teams in a relatively similar bracket. These are players that are in the same pot. This is damning stuff. Rather than identifying targets based on clear strategic need, Gannon is arguing Celtic are in reactive mode, taking whatever loan deal is offered and hoping it sticks. Araujo, he suggests, was not tracked long-term. He became a target because he was made available and Celtic were ready to take him. The same, he says, appears true of Jocelyn Tarbi, the Ivorian winger linked to the club, who could be close to signing. Contrast that with a world-class recruitment model, clubs that identify emerging talent long before others, build dossiers, track development, and then sign and sell for profit. That's the model Celtic claim to pursue: buy young, develop and sell. But Gannon suggests the reality is closer to opportunistic buying, hoping cheap options hit gold. Supporters will also remember reports from last summer that Sirachi was simply offered to Celtic without any scouting. If true, it fits with Gannon's broader point. Celtic aren't going out and choosing players based on deep scouting insight. They're picking from a market bucket and hoping something sticks. It's why, for many fans, the Araujo deal feels symptomatic of a bigger problem. Celtic didn't go out and identify him as a strategic priority. He was simply available. At a club with Celtic's resources and global reach, that should never be the case. A proper model wouldn't rely on what's offered, it would dictate what's needed. Until that changes, supporters will continue to question whether Celtic's recruitment is truly professional or just hopeful. Now for the main story, as reports from Croatia this afternoon claimed that Celtic were on the verge of signing Nikico Seiger from Hajduk Split, suggesting the Canadian-Croatian midfielder was one step away from a move to Parkhead. However, Celtic News can now confirm that while Celtic are interested in the 22-year-old, the transfer is nowhere near close to completion. Contrary to some earlier claims, Celtic were never on the brink of sealing a deal. Negotiations have not progressed to an advanced stage, and no agreements on personal terms or fees are in place. The club continue to monitor Seiger's situation, but interest should not be confused with a pending transfer. It's also worth clarifying that Seiger is not primarily a right-back, as some outlets have suggested. His natural position is defensive midfield. While he can cover at right-back and has done so occasionally, that versatility appears to be a secondary attribute rather than his main role. The important takeaway is that no deal is imminent. Celtic's recruitment team have identified Seiger as a player of interest, but there is a long way to go, if anything at all, before negotiations reach a point where a transfer feels likely. Celtic are not on the verge of signing Seiger. We'll continue to follow this story and update you if the situation changes. In other news, Celtic target Stefan Ortega is reportedly in explorative talks with a number of clubs ahead of a January exit from Manchester City. Ortega has been linked with Celtic on multiple occasions this season, with uncertainty growing over Kasper Schmeichel's future. Schmeichel's contract expires at the end of the season, and supporters are growing increasingly frustrated with his level of performance this season. 33-year-old Ortega has fallen behind in Pep Guardiola's pecking order, and a move to Glasgow for more playing opportunities would make sense. It is now being reported that he could leave the Citizens this month. Ortega hasn't been named in a matchday squad for City since August, with the signings of James Trafford and Gianluigi Donnarumma taking place this summer. A late bloomer, Ortega didn't make a Bundesliga appearance until 2017, aged 27. He joined Arminia, aged 15. His form for City led to him being called by Julian Nagelsmann for the German national team in March last year, but he has never received a cap. If he is to be on the move this winter, Celtic will need to make a decision regarding Schmeichel and Viliami Sinisalo. Celtic last signed a player from Manchester City in the summer in the shape of Jarmai Simpson-Pusey. It's fair to say that move didn't go to plan. He was the first City player to join the Hoops since Jeremy Frimpong in 2019. Having never made a senior appearance in Manchester, Frimpong is now at Liverpool. Long-term City servants Joe Hart and Kelechi Iheanacho have both recently made moves to Celtic Park. To come full circle, Schmeichel himself made 10 appearances for the Citizens at the start of his career. In other news, one of them is Celtic's number one goalkeeper, Kasper Schmeichel, who Peter Grant is still questioning following Nancy's exit. Schmeichel's name popped up when Grant was talking about Stevie Woods' situation at Celtic and how there were suggestions he had left the club. Of course, when Martin O'Neill's return was confirmed, he was part of that same coaching setup that was at Lennoxtown the first time around, but that didn't stop Grant from criticising Schmeichel on Go Radio, and how Nancy hinted that his goalkeeper isn't training as hard when he didn't start against Livingston a fortnight ago. The reason why the Denmark international didn't start that chaotic 4-2 win is that he needed to get an injection, but Grant was questioning the keeper's fitness levels. That's why Celtic fans booed Schmeichel during the defeat to the Gers, and why Grant is still on his case now. The manager Nancy gave a little bit away the other week when he didn't play against Livingston, when he had to get an injection, said Grant. The possibility is that he probably isn't training as hard as he needs to keep that fitness level, so all these things happen. You know what it's like. See if you are conceding soft goals, everything shows up, and everybody will blame everything. Lastly, the Celtic Fans Collective have released a statement and called on chairman Brian Wilson to put his money where his mouth is. Wilson is the Parkhead interim chairman after Peter Lawwell resigned from Celtic to end an almost 30-year connection to the club. With the relationship with Celtic supporters and the board at an all-time low, Wilson called on the fans to bring unity to the club in his statement when he took the temporary chairman position. And that call for unity has been met with a statement from the Celtic Fans Collective, who have challenged Wilson to put his money where his mouth is. As Wilson and the Celtic board feel the pressure from the collective, the fan group have issued a 3-point plan that would help bring peace to the club. In a big statement on X, the collective said, "We are calling on Brian Wilson and representatives of Celtic Football Club to meet with the Celtic Fans Collective in the spirit of reconciliation and a genuine desire to achieve unity on the same themes presented in the initial open letter." That's all the latest Celtic news for this evening. The transfer window is heating up with questions about our recruitment strategy. Ortega could be on the move, and the relationship between fans and the board remains at breaking point. It's a crucial time for the club. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more daily Celtic news. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on our transfer strategy. Should we go for Ortega? And what do you think about the Fans Collective's statement? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.